What's up, guys? It is Coach Kally V, and this is the Kally V podcast, owning your opportunity. And today's podcast episode, we are going to be talking about something very important. Let's get into it. All right, pitchers, welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that I think is incredibly important for your development, but something that I also know a lot of pitchers struggle with. Let's get into it. You ready for this? Drum roll, please. Rest days. Yeah. That's what we're going to talk about right now, guys. We're talking about taking a day off. And some of you, I just said that out loud and you were like fingernails on a chalkboard. No. Your rest day should never give you that feeling, okay? But I also know what it feels like if it is giving you that feeling. See, I used to think that I needed to go all the time, not just as a former collegiate softball pitcher, but as somebody who also did bodybuilding. I mean, rest days were hard for me because in my mind, I was so used to if I do this and I do that and I do that, then I'm going to get this. But here's the truth. That's not real. All right, so we're going to lean into this, and this is really important for you guys because a lot of you guys right now, you have time off, Tryouts have happened for travel ball. You guys, a lot of your organizations may be taking time off, which you should be, and if you're not, what are we doing? Seriously, what are we doing, people? These are girls. This is youth sports. They're going to, be adults one day, and the physical and emotional damage that is taking a toll on them now, it's just going to haunt them in adulthood. So unless you plan on paying for their physical therapy and their surgeries, let alone their emotional therapy from the trauma that's happened to them, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's get into this. All right, so we're talking about taking a day off. And I know some of you, the minute I say rest, you're thinking, wait, what? But coach, I need to get better. I need to throw. I don't want to lose my feeling. Or what if everybody else is working? Then what am I doing? I get it. 100% I get this, okay? Because I was an athlete too. I know. It's crazy. Many, many years ago, I shared with you before, this is something that I've had to deal with not just in my collegiate career, but in my adult life too, okay? So there's this mentality in sports that somehow says the harder you work, the better you are, okay? And while I absolutely believe in working hard, I don't believe that more is always better. In fact, one of the things I really want to teach you through the KBS mentorship program is becoming a high-level pitcher isn't just about knowing how to work, okay? For you to be elite, you don't just check the box of knowing how to work. It's about knowing how to manage your work. Aha! Now we're getting deeper. Now we're peeling back the onion, okay? And that includes knowing when to rest. So first thing I want you to remember is rest doesn't mean you're not committed. It doesn't mean that. It's not a sign of weakness, okay? Let's start here. Because I think where a lot of pitchers get this wrong, taking a rest day does not mean you're lazy at all. It doesn't mean you don't want it badly enough either. And it doesn't mean you're not committed. And it definitely doesn't mean another pitcher is automatically getting ahead of you because she decided to throw while you were resting. Whew! That is FOMO. Y'all know what FOMO is, right? The fear of missing out. Do not let that even come and sit at your table. That feeling is not welcome. All right. Rest is a part of the process. It's a part of your process, right? Your body needs recovery time because you're asking it to do some pretty incredible things. I mean, think about what you're asking your body to do as a pitcher. As a youth pitcher, let's just take one of my athletes right now. Okay. Now she has been getting phenomenal results in the program. And yes, she works with me in the KBS mentorship program. So she's training all sides of the ball, the physical, the emotional, the mental. She also has a recruiting coach who helps her create what she needs to create for coaches to see her. Okay. So she can get recruited to play college ball. And she also has a strength training coach. Okay. She trains at 5 a.m. in the morning. See, school's back in session now. Okay. And she just made a new travel team. And here's the coolest part. Last week, I think it was on Friday night. Yeah. She messaged me. It was like, hey, coach, I just want to let you know I'm going to go ahead and take the weekend off because I'm feeling really tired. We had a really aggressive, really heavy pitching practice in travel ball. Is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. That's exactly what I told her. And then I also went as far as telling her, thank you for letting me know. Thank you for letting me know. And also knowing what you're capable of doing, knowing that you need the rest. That is amazing. So I want you to think again about what you're asking your body to do. Think about it. Everything you're doing physically right now, emotionally right now, mentally right now, everything. Well, for pitching, you're using your legs. And if you're not, you should be. You're using your hips. I don't know if you guys know this, but your hips store a lot of emotional stress. Okay? You're using your core, which is from your chest to your knees, and you're generating force. You're repeating this explosive movement over and over again. You're using your shoulder, you're using your arm, you're using your finger, you're using your snap. No, your arm, your wrist, your fingers. You're snapping your wrist, right? I don't know about you, but I've had pitchers in the past when their rise ball's on their wrist, it's a little tired the next day. It happens. It happened to me too as a pitcher. You're asking your nervous system to coordinate all of that. That's a lot. And then you're doing it again. Like I said, you're literally doing it over and over and over again. So why would we even think that your body needs time to recover? Why? Well, that leads me right into the next topic here. You don't get better by simply doing more. You get better by doing more of what puts you closer to reaching your goal. But if you start stacking, like 10 drills in one day and you keep doing those drills on top of your bullpens and then you're going to travel ball practice and you're throwing live BP there, that's a lot. It's too much, okay? This is something I want you guys to really understand. You don't become a better pitcher simply because you practice every single day. You don't become a better pitcher because you're exhausted at the end of your week. See, training is going to create the stimulus, okay? But recovery is part of how your body adapts to the training. Ha! I bet you didn't know that. See, that's why rest is put in my pitchers' programs. They have a rest day. They also have active recovery day. They also have days where they only do their daily drills, which are tiny itty bitty micro mechanics that when done right over and over again, they stack up and they create the right thing to show up. The big thing, right? The macro thing to show up right on time. That's why rest belongs in your program. And if it doesn't, you have a problem. It's not something we add when we don't have anything else to do. It's there on purpose for a purpose. And here's the fun fact, y'all. Your arm doesn't know if it's a practice or a game. In fact, a little side note you hear. The mental rep, you could actually envision yourself striking batters out, working through failure and stuff without even lifting a finger. And your brain doesn't know the difference between the mental rep and the physical rep. So physically, you could actually do it and it could feel like you've done it before, even though you've never physically done it before. But because you mentally prepared for it, your body doesn't know the difference. This is why for some of you, you've experienced those plays you've made where I know for me, just personally speaking, it's like a line drive getting hit back at me. I catch it. I go one, make a double play. Because I would think about these things, right? Like, okay, there's a runner on one. Nobody else is on. Okay, if it's hit back to me, I'm going one. There's no way she's going to make it back to the bag on time. So because I would think about these things prior to my game, I was able to actually do it because my brain technically didn't know the difference between the mental rep and the physical rep. Okay, back into it. All right, so here's another thing I want you to think about. Since your arm doesn't know if it's practice or a game, sometimes I hear athletes say, well, it's just practice, or I'm just throwing a bullpen, or I'm just pitching to hitters. But your arm doesn't know that. Your body doesn't know that. Your body doesn't know that you're just practicing. It knows you're throwing. It knows you're creating a workload. It knows you're asking it to produce force over and over again. That's why you have to look at the whole picture. Okay? Your game, your bullpens, your practices, your hitting, your fielding, your other teams, your showcases, your extra throwing. All of it adds up. What did I miss there? For those of you that aren't taking your rest days or implementing active recovery days in your program, all of that unfortunately sounded really normal to you. And that's really sad. Okay. But it's going to get better. It's going to get so much better. Okay. If you're playing for multiple teams, or maybe you're going in and out of like, this is what I see in my area a lot before girls go into travel ball. They'll do like little league and rec and little league and rec, and then they'll do little travel ball, like round robins, just taking their, little league team. And it's just nonstop. Okay. I am 100% for that because of the developmental aspect that comes with that. That gives those girls that are pretty much a core, right? Really good time together to discover what they're good at. And truly, it's going to give them more the itch to pitch. Okay, so I'm for that. But what happens is we tend to get into this race, right? To where softball pretty much will just kind of overtake everything. And you'll ask yourself, when was the last time you had a weekend off? And you may or may not like the answer. If you're playing for multiple teams, this is really important to you. I need you to listen. You can't look at one coach's practice schedule and assume that your entire workload is in that practice. You have to look at everything you're doing. Okay? So this is where the trust is going to come in. And this connects to something I've talked to a lot of you who follow me and a lot of my clients. I talk to you about this over and over again. Trusting your process, it does not mean I'm going to work as hard as humanly possible every single day. Because you know what? My physical capability has gotten me this far. By God, I'm gonna do it all the way through. No. You will get so burnt out from that mentality. Okay, I'm going to side note again right here because there's something that takes place in the younger pitcher who has a physical ability to pitch hard. She can throw strikes too. I'm going to tell you something that you may or may not like to hear, but what happens is when that girl can pitch hard, at 10U, 12U, and she can throw strikes, nobody cares about her true development. And when I say true development, I'm not just saying physical. I'm saying the emotional and the mental development it takes to become an elite pitcher. If you're only giving her applause when she's throwing hard and striking batters out, but not helping her articulate the why we're doing this and the why you maybe didn't win this game and the why you won this game, by the time that pitcher gets around the age anywhere from 14 to 16, oh my goodness, there's going to be a lot of emotions that she is not going to be able to process, articulate, and unless she has a good mentor, a good coach that's in her circle, she is facing burnout at a higher rate than a pitcher who, maybe started out 10U, 12U, just coasting. And then as she, becomes that 12U, 14U, 16U player, she starts increasing speed, starts getting more strikes, has a really good changeup. You're going to find that pitchers like that have less burnout than the pitchers that have literally manhandled their way to success. All right. So again, trusting your process does not mean I'm going to work as hard as humanly possible every single day. This is what it means. I trust the plan I'm following is designed to help me develop. I trust the plan. I trust my process. All right. Sometimes the plan says work. Sometimes it says push. Sometimes it says back off. And some days it'll even say rest. And if you trust the process, you have to trust all of it, not just the parts you like. So what I want you guys to take away from that is don't compare yourself. Don't compare your rest to someone else's work. This is where social media can really mess with athletes. You get on Instagram. Look, if you want to play college softball, you're out there. You have a Twitter, you have an Instagram, and you probably have a YouTube, and you're on some kind of recruiting platform like Field Level or I can't even think right now. All those things are your resume, okay? And nobody is sitting there looking for you to not post. Now, it's true, the more you post, the more the algorithm is going to push you out there, especially to the people that follow you, especially to the people that are actually watching you. Okay, your stuff is going to end up across their feed more so than others. But I don't say that to get you guys crazy thinking you need to post 5-10 times a day. Because at the end of the day, just like pitching, there is no 110%. There's no mathematical equation that allows you to give 110%. It is only justifiable for what you're capable of doing within that moment. So if you can't post 5 times a day, what can you do? Can you post 1 time a day? Do it. And here's the crazy thing. If you guys actually look into your Instagram has the schedule capability, right? So you could actually break down your practice video, your strength training videos, your game videos, and you could actually schedule it out. Man, that just lifts a load off of your little heart, doesn't it? It does. Okay. So when you get on Instagram, I don't want you getting on other people's Instagram and worrying about what they're doing. I want you to use it for you. It's your active, it's like a living document, right? It's a living resume. Every time you're posting on it, you're posting why you should be watching this for the coach, not for a parent, not for a teammate, for a coach to whom you are wanting to be recruited by. It's as simple as it needs to be. Okay. So when you get on Instagram, you're going to see girls throwing bullpens. Somebody's doing weighted balls. Somebody's throwing 100 pitches. Somebody's posting, nobody's going to outwork me. What are you doing on your day off? I'm throwing 100 pitch bullpen, blah, blah, blah. And you're just sitting there thinking, but I'm supposed to rest today. And suddenly, FOMO sneaks in. The fear of missing out. You let it sneak in. You start to feel guilty. For what? You start to feel shame. For what? Your body needs the recovery. Okay, let's just pause. Let's just do a little pop quiz here. If you're a pitcher and you're listening to this, maybe you're a parent and you're listening to this, maybe you're a coach and you're listening to this, but I don't know about you guys, but how many of you guys have experienced more pitchers, or you as a pitcher have experienced hitting a PR after a rest weekend, or maybe after Christmas break, you give yourself a week off and then boom, you hit a new PR. There's a reason for that. Okay. So the moment you start to look outside of your lane, remember, stay in your lane, run your race, pitch your game. Okay. Don't look over here. Okay, I'm telling you don't. All right, just don't even bother. Protect your love and your peace and your joy for this game. Okay, you have no idea what that athlete that you're comparing yourself to, you have no idea what their entire training plan looks like. They may not even have a coach who's telling them to take a rest day, right? They may have a parent who's on them all the time, like white on rice, just saying, you need to do this and you need to do that. You need to do this and you need to do that. But the parent doesn't know anything. They just think their kid needs to work because work creates action and action creates product. No, I'm sorry. I don't buy into it. Here's the thing about these girls that you see that are going and going and going and going. You don't know what her body needs. You don't know what her workload has been. You don't know what her coach has prescribed. And here's the biggest thing. She's not running your race. I've talked to you about this before. You have your own journey, your own body, your own mechanics, your own workload, your own goals, and your own timeline. So stop comparing your process, okay, to somebody else's highlight reel. It's that simple, as cliche as it sounds, okay? Rest is not doing nothing. It's not. I remember when this concept started coming into my life, it was really hard for me to rest. Very, very hard for me to rest. In fact, as somebody who loves what she does, I love being an international elite fast pitch pitching coach. I love it so much that if I had it my way, I would always be right here and just building programs and talking to you guys and giving you guys just anything to help you guys reach your goals. I would be doing that all the time, but I can't. That's unrealistic. I'm married to a coach and a teacher. We have 3 kids, right? 2 are adults, 1's still in high school. I have a life. I have friends. My circle is small, but those relationships mean a lot to me. But I do love what I do. And I hear you. If you're a pitcher and you're like, oh my gosh, but I love pitching. I totally get it. But I'm telling you right now, for me, when I take a rest day now, I get so much more creative space. I think of more ways to help you versus feeling, burnt out or I'm going to have a mental breakdown. So I want to encourage you guys, when you are taking these rest days, I want you to lean into it. Okay. Let's make it really clear right now. When I say rest, I don't necessarily mean that you have to sit on the couch all day and do absolutely nothing. Now, if you want to, be my guest. I think that's one thing that I've done really well with my own daughter who plays softball is my husband and I would just let her just, have a day. Like, especially if, oh gosh, we played 4 games on a Saturday and then we played the 8:00 game on Sunday and maybe we made it to the semifinals and then we get knocked out and there's still like 8 hours left in the day. It's like, go home, take a bath, veg out in your bed, like just be in your space, right? Like that's okay. But if we're talking a full day, okay, this is kind of like, I want you guys to go down, imaginary lane with me. If you have a Saturday morning and you don't have any softball, so there's no tournaments, you don't have, anything on your schedule with your coach, and you wake up and you just feel like this immense, like, anxiety of like, oh my gosh, I got to do something. I want to let you know that you don't have to do anything. You can have a day of waking up and maybe making yourself some pancakes and oh my gosh, journal, do something, right? Like get it out. How was this week? Was your week tough? Did it challenge you? Maybe you have the itch to like go work out. When's the last time or when have you ever done yoga? Like I highly recommend it. Do some yoga. Maybe go take a group fitness class with your mom. Do something a little different out of the norm. Water aerobics. What? I know it's crazy. But rest can look so different depending on the athlete and the plan. Maybe you're working on mobility. Maybe you're doing some recovery work. Maybe you're taking a walk. Maybe you're getting extra sleep, which I'm a fan of. Maybe you're focusing on hydration and nutrition. Hey, take a day in food prep for the week. Okay, maybe you're doing some mental training, journaling. Maybe you're visualization. Maybe you're visualizing. I love that type of practice. I love that type of work, okay? Or maybe you're just simply stepping away from the field and letting your brain and your heart breathe. There are a lot of ways to continue developing without continuing to put stress on your arm. Trust me, been doing this a long time. And yes, your mental game needs rest too. And to be honest with you, like I had mentioned earlier about, the 10U, 12U stud pitcher who throws gas and throws strikes and nobody cares to coach her in the mental and the emotional side of the game. And I truly believe that this is the biggest one in development that gets overlooked. I've seen really good pitchers I have seen really talented pitchers walk away from the position and even go as far as walking away from the game because nobody was able to help them process failure and how failure is feedback. And we have to learn about it. And we're going to embrace that learning journey. Okay. But if nobody comes around you and tells you this, then you just hear that you're a quitter, you're a failure, you're never going to be as good as so-and-so, right? That's all you're going to hear. Here's the thing about the mental game needing rest and the emotional side of this game needing rest. You're not just physically tired, okay? You're physically tired sometimes, right? But it's not just that. You're mentally and emotionally tired. Think about the pressure that you as a young pitcher carry. If you're a parent listening to this or a coach, as those young pitchers carry, think about that. Every pitch matters. Every game matters. Every tournament matters. Everybody wants to know your velocity. So they want to know how fast your daughter's pitching or how fast you're pitching, right? They all want to know that. Everybody has an opinion about your mechanics, and you're thinking about your pitches, you're thinking about your team, you're thinking about recruiting, you're thinking about what other people think about you, you're thinking about whether you're performing well enough, and that is so much noise. So much noise. So when was the last time you shut that off? Yeah, it's real, guys, and it's really loud. It's really loud. That's a lot. Sometimes you need to step away, not because you don't love softball, but you need to step away to protect the love of softball, to protect your love of this position for the very reason because you love softball. I want you to be able to play this game for a long time. Okay. I don't want you to burn out trying to prove you want it. This is one of the biggest things I want for you. Okay. Here's the thing. When we approach this game and this position of I'm going to prove that I want it 9 times out of 10, whenever we do that, I've seen girls like they're trying to prove to a coach that could care less about them pitching. They don't see you. and they're never going to see you. And that doesn't give you the right to create a victimhood type mindset. But what it should is give you empowerment to never put yourself in a position where you're trying to prove yourself, where you're trying to prove to someone else how bad you want to pitch. You don't have to be exhausted to prove that you're dedicated. You don't, okay? You don't have to throw every day to prove you want to play in college softball. You don't have to say yes to every opportunity. I'm dead serious. Like, if you're a travel ball player and you're currently like not a part of an org, but you're picking up for other teams, like, be smart about it. Be very smart about it. Don't play yourself into an injury. And you don't have to do more simply because you are afraid that somebody else is doing more. Here's the beauty in discipline, y'all. Hang on to this. Discipline isn't always doing more. It's not. Do you realize how much more discipline it takes for you to show up on a rest day? And if you haven't experienced that before, I'm about to turn your world upside down. Yes. See, sometimes discipline is having the maturity to do less because you know that's exactly what your body needs in that moment. That's high level thinking. That's high level pitching. The long game. We want to be here for a long time, ladies. Yes, we do. I mean, you guys have a lot more opportunities than I did. Like, I wanted to play softball the rest of my life. The good Lord had a different plan, and that's fine because it's His, glory to God. I've been in it, coaching nearly 30 years and playing since I was 4. I want you to think beyond the weekend, not just the next tournament, not just your next showcase. There's a lot of prospect camps coming up in my area too. I don't want you to think, like short term, right? We're thinking big. So we're going to think, we're going to think past your next radar session. We're going to think about the next 5 years. You guys good? Okay. Think about the pitcher you want to become. Allow yourself to think about her. And if you have a journal right now, this is extra credit right here. I want you to open it up and I want you to, in 5 years, this is the pitcher I will be. Are you going to be a pitcher who gets 8 hours of sleep? Are you going to be a pitcher who food preps? Are you going to be a pitcher who stays hydrated? Like, define who she is. Who is, I'm just going to throw a name out there. We're just, who is Melissa 2.0, right? What does she look like? Write her down. Call her out. Invite her to sit at your table. I mean, after all, it's you. It's your future self, right? I dare you, okay? Think about the pitcher you want to become, because I don't want you to become an incredible 12-year-old pitcher who is burned out by the time she's 15 or decides to walk away from the game completely, the game that she just loves so much, right? I don't want you to constantly be dealing with soreness. Drives me insane when doctors use the term overuse. And when I am, recreating mechanics with pitchers where we're starting to unlock, more effective and efficient movement patterns to get them to pitch with less pain. And then they come to me and they want to train with me because they know what I can do, but they're coming to me with pain. It's like, sis, you're hurting because you've done really good at getting the ball over the plate and throwing the strikes and throwing the gas, but you're doing it in a way that's going against your motor preferences, like the way your body's supposed to move. So you have to remember something about pain. Pain is a signal that something is wrong, right? You have a headache. What does that? I mean, scientifically, it typically means that you're low on sodium. Okay. But in some people's cases, it can mean they have, sinus pressure. For me, it was the number one telltale sign that something was going on with me neurologically, because I had a headache so bad for 3 months. And then it led to something else, like literally led to me throwing up. I couldn't quit, to the point where I was starting to have midline shift. Like, everything was getting pushed over to where I couldn't even stand up without throwing up. Okay. So remember, pain is going to tell you that something is going on. So if you're listening to this right now and your daughter's been experiencing a lot of pain, okay, I can tell you right now, she's not taking enough rest and recovery days. Okay. If she is taking rest and recovery days and she's still experiencing pain, then you really have to see, how much is she throwing? Is she lifting? Right? That's another thing. You guys want to try to get to that elite level and not learn how to lift weights correctly for you as a fast pitch pitcher. You think just throwing some weights up in high school PE or even high school softball class is going to help you? It's not. It'll actually work against you. If you don't know how you should be lifting properly, you're going to run into injuries, repetitive injuries. Okay. There's a lot. Like, I cannot stress enough. If you guys have not had a movement assessment, with somebody who does this like full time, you're doing your right now self and your future self. So your present self and your future self, you're doing both of them a disservice because you're literally going to work yourself into an injury. Okay. I don't want you guys to constantly be dealing with soreness. And I don't want you to believe that the pain is just part of pitching. Absolutely insane way of thinking. Do not subscribe to that. That is a lie. Okay. I want you to develop into a pitcher who understands how to train, how to compete, how to recover, how to adapt, and take care of herself on all sides of the ball. Okay? That's the long game. And I want you to be a part of that. So listen to your body, ladies. This is an important distinction. I'm not telling you to diagnose yourself. I'm telling you to decide when you're truly injured. And I'm definitely not telling you to pitch through pain. That's not me. I'm not that coach. Nope. Never been, never will be. It's not worth it. Trust me, it's not worth it. Okay. If something hurts, if your arm doesn't feel right, if you're experiencing unusual fatigue, okay, meaning this fatigue is abnormal, okay, loss of range of motion, or something that is just concerning you, you have to communicate it, okay? You are actually doing yourself a disservice, your present self, as well as your future self. And then those ladies that are out there going to battle with you on the field, you're hurting them too, all because you're refusing to communicate that you hurt. Trust me, I've seen way too many girls throw hurt. And for some reason it happens 12U, 14U. And it's ridiculous because those are their most developmental times. And that's when the injury just kind of locks in. And it becomes, the haunting of the knot in their shoulder. I mean, when's the last time you took your daughter to get a massage? Pitchers, when have you gotten a massage? Have you been to the chiropractor? Like, if there is something that brings you relief as a pitcher who is training as an elite athlete, then you need to incorporate that. Recovery and rest is part of that. Okay? Tell your parents you're hurting. Tell your coach you're hurting. If you're one of my girls, you already know. You guys, my girls communicate with me. You want to know why they communicate with me? Because then I can go in and I can set them up for the next success. Your knee's giving you some pain this week. Okay. In a growth spurt. All right, well, let's make some modifications to your program. Got you. Let's do this, okay? Tell your other coaches. And if it's necessary, again, please get evaluated by somebody in sports medicine, okay? A trainer. Like my daughter here in Arizona, it's called Push Performance, and they have a PT that's partnered with them called Nextera PT. And my daughter's entire strength training program is built around her position on the field, right? Second base. She also plays left, but she mainly is second, and she hits. So she has core movement patterns that feed into that, but then they also feed into other athletic movements. All right. So get seen by somebody. All right. This is just a little side note. The American Orthopedic Society for Sports Medicine specifically recommends communicating about arm fatigue and not pitching with pain. There's a reason why they do that. Okay. There's a reason why. That's not weakness. That's being responsible for your body. So what does a rest day actually mean? Here's how I want you to think about it. A rest day means I'm not falling behind. I'm not being lazy. I'm not wasting time. I'm not losing my commitment. Instead, I'm recovering so I can come back ready to work again. That's a completely different mindset. Now, earlier I spoke about one of my athletes who's just killing it in the program. Well, she took a rest weekend. She did some yoga. Guess who hit a new PR this week? Literally on Monday. Yeah, it's weird how that works out, right? All right. So here's your challenge. Okay. I know I challenged you with a little journal challenge about describing who you want to be in 5 years. What does that picture look like? What does she look like? That picture that you want to become in 5 years. Okay. So the next time you see a rest day, given to you by your coach, or maybe your travel ball org says, hey, I want you guys to take, a Saturday off. Or if you're one of my girls, you already know, right? If you see rest day or active recovery in your program, I don't want you to complain about it, which my girls don't. It's actually Parents and pitchers are surprised. They're shocked when they get into the program and they see rest day in there. They're like, what? And then they see the journal prompts that are in there. Yeah, because in the KVS mentorship program, we train all sides of the ball. If you're one of my girls listening to this, you already know. Okay. I don't want you to feel guilty. I don't want you to secretly throw anyway because you think you're missing out or you're going to fall into the whole buy-in of, what's that phrase about don't let anybody see you working or something. I don't know. I'm going to take that out. I want you to embrace it. Okay. Get some sleep, hydrate, drink your water, drink your electrolytes, eat well, take care of your body, work on the mental game, spend time with your family, do something you enjoy, and remind yourself, rest isn't taking me away from my goals. Rest is actually helping me get there. Okay. And here's the final message. Pitchers, I want to leave you with this. Your commitment to softball is not measured by how many days in a row you can throw. It's measured by how well you can manage the entire process. Work matters, recovery matters, sleep matters, nutrition matters, mental health matters, emotional health matters, your body matters, and your long-term development matters. So when your plan tells you to rest, or maybe you've never been told to take a rest day and this is your sign, I want you to trust it. Trust it. Because we're not trying to create a pitcher who can survive one season. We're trying to create a pitcher who can develop for years. Guys, you don't just get to college and you top out there, okay? When you get to college, like say you get recruited and you're throwing like 62, 64, you're going to get faster because you're going to get stronger. It happens. So when you're recruiting, right, when you're looking at these schools, ask, what does their pitching development program look like for them? What kind of data do they use? Do they use, Pitch Logic? Do they use Rapsodo? How are they able to document the fact that you're getting stronger? It's crazy, right? Okay, so we're trying to create a pitcher who can develop for years. Biggest thing I want you to take away from rest days. A pitcher who understands her body, a pitcher who knows how to work, a pitcher who knows how to recover, a pitcher who knows when to push, and a pitcher who knows when to say, today, my job is to recover. That's what I'm going to do today. And I'm going to own it because it's an opportunity to own, just like the game, just like the bullpen, just like the drill work, just like the practice. This is not weakness, ladies. It's not laziness, and it's not falling behind. It's part of becoming a high-level elite pitcher. So work hard, recover hard, trust your process. And remember, rest is training. All right, guys, as always, I thank you so much for listening to this particular podcast episode. If this was something new for you to listen to, maybe encompass, maybe wrap your mind around, please let me know. Why don't you go to KallyVSoftball.com? That's Kally like Sally, but with a K, V as in Victor, softball.com. And shoot me a message there how this podcast episode really got you to see the importance of a rest and a recovery day. I want to know. And as always, guys, thanks for listening. And be sure to subscribe to the show because that's how you become a part of the big picture here at KBS. Take care, guys, and God bless.